Okay, hi guys, welcome back. Today we are actually going to be making jalapeno hot sauce. We will be doing this an emulsion way. We're basically going to blend everything all up. Then we are going to basically take the puree that we make and we are going to actually start working out all of the seeds and pulp and just get the essence, the juice basically, for our hot sauce. So to get started, you're going to need diced onions, garlic and salt, vinegar. You can do white distilled vinegar. I personally prefer rice vinegar. You'll need some water. And then of course your jalapenos. Make sure they are already sliced. You'll need about a tablespoon of oil in your pan to get started. And the first step that we are going to actually do is we're going to take into our pan, we're going to our oil, which is already present. We're going to add in our garlic and salt. Make sure we glove up. We want all of the yummy little bits in there, so make sure nothing gets left behind. We leave no man behind in this situation. Okay, once everything is in there, add in our onions. Okay, once those are in, we'll go ahead and pick up our flame. You want the flame to be at least a medium to a medium high. We're gonna let that sit and that start to slowly cook up. And as that's cooking, we are going to want to only let it sit into the pan and let everything cook up for about 4 minutes. So in that 4 minutes, we're going to kind of stir it every now and then, get everything moving around, keep everything fairly consistent. Okay. Again, you want to we're only going to let this go for about 4 minutes. Making sure we're stirring it pretty regularly, keeping the movement going. There's not a lot of oil in here, which is really for only coating the pan. We don't want a whole lot of oil because we're really just sweating out the essence from our garlic and our onions. We're going to let these cook up until they just start to turn translucent. When they just start to turn translucent is when we're going to take and add in our water, which will be the next element that we put into here. Once that's done, before we add the water in, get this nice and caramelized. We're in a good place. Let's go ahead and get these bad boys in. These are the main component of this now that our flavors have started to open up. We're going to let these guys join the party. Give it a good stir. Keeping it moving around again. Then we're going to let this go for another 4 minutes. We're going to let this sweat out. Once these start to sweat, we'll then add in our water. Once the water is added in, we're going to let it cook, stirring it every so often for about 20 minutes. Okay, now we're gonna add in our water. Now once that water gets added in, it's gonna drop down the actual temperature in the pan, so we are going to have to wait for this to actually come back up to temperature again. We're gonna let this finish breaking down and doing a slow simmer. This will be happening for like I said, for 20 minutes. While this is cooking, you want to make sure that you have everything that you need to be moving forward with the next step. This is going to have to cool down. So once this is cool is when we'll actually be moving into our next part of the demonstration. Now, those of you that are doing this from home, excuse me, the next thing you're going to need to be making sure that you do is get all of the other components that you're going to need. If you do not happen to have a china cap or even a mesh strainer, you're going to want something along that lines. Make sure you have at least a food processor. That's going to get the first half going. If you cannot strain this out further into its final step, as it is will be just fine in the puree state. You can use it as a hot sauce. It turns more into very similar to a salsa verde in texture. It's going to be a little more meatier in taste and flavor, but the flavor is going to still be very hot and very concentrated because we are keeping this in its essence. All the seeds veining is still intact, and that's where all of the pop is. So if you are unable to do the last step, which is actually the straining out process, then you're going to be just fine canning and bottling it the way that it is after you've pureed it. We are going to do the next half once this is cooled down and it's gone through its 20 minutes of cook time. We're just going to stop here and we will restart with the next half of our video to go with the next step.